So things are not looking good. There's literally a 49% chance that we are gonna have a recession in the next 12 months. And whenever I hear 49% chance, I basically hear 50-50. Like flip a coin, might happen, might not happen. And this is obviously a big deal because it means the economy slows down, jobs slow down, things don't look good during a recession. That's just common sense. And a recession has a potential to turn into a depression. And whenever we talk about depression, people get very scared and very worried because it's not something you want to see, especially if you have plans on retirement, you have plans on buying a home, you have plans overall. That's not what you want, because you can also have plans to get fired anytime and not have a job and not be able to get a job, okay? Because right now the job market is nice. We are seeing some layoffs here and there, but we're not really in a bad spot per se. But there is a 49% chance, because the Fed is being super aggressive about raising the rates to basically try to control inflation, that we might see a recession according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly, well, what does that mean for you if you're trying to buy a home, if you're trying to invest some money, or as far as, for example, your personal finances. Is this a time to go ahead and save money, to take action, to not take action? What exactly are you supposed to be doing? And as always, guys, I post videos every single week giving you updates, so make sure to go ahead and basically subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified, and also destroy the like button. Now, the very first thing that we kind of got to break down is basically you got to understand that when the people that basically control the economy are telling you, hey, we're gonna be super aggressive trying to control inflation, and to do this, we're gonna have to basically raise the rates. That means it becomes a lot more expensive to borrow money. That means the economy is gonna slow down. That means that what they want is inflation numbers of 2% to 3%. And right now they're like at 9%. That's why the I bonds, which are, by the way, not a good investment in a sense, is just a way to kind of make sure your money doesn't deteriorate when it comes to inflation. But the idea is, if the government is issuing out an investment that's inflation hedge, telling you, hey, we're gonna pay you 9%, it's because inflation is that high. The consumer price index, which shows you how the prices of things are going up or they're going down or they're maintaining, is showing you that, hey, gas is expensive, groceries are expensive, travel is expensive, everything is expensive. So any investment right now that you basically have that's paying you less than 9%, you're basically not making any money. And right now the stock market is basically not paying you anything. It's negative, okay? It's negative. We're losing money. So overall, what exactly does this mean? The truth is, well, you gotta understand that the Fed is doing exactly what this should be doing. They're trying to control inflation. So by raising the rates, naturally, we're gonna see a slowdown basically in prices. Prices are actually gonna stop either going up, they're actually gonna go down, or we're gonna see a stagnation overall. And we're seeing that even with gas prices. They're basically going down, they're basically going back down to level. I'm not seeing that with groceries just yet, but they're taking this action like literally like this year. So things take time to actually develop. But do I think that you should go ahead and take some major risks as far as investment to protect your capital? The answer is no. Because here's why. If you get involved in an investment that pays you over 9%, the answer is that's very possible, by the way, because when you're investing to index funds, you're gonna get paid like 10 to 12%. But if you go into risky investments out there to try to mitigate the whole inflation thing, the answer is this whole inflation numbers of the 8 to 9%, these are temporary numbers. And this is basically not normal. It's not average. It happened because we printed a bunch of money, there was a pandemic, a lot of things had to go, like a lot of dominoes had to fall to make this happen. But in the next 12 to 24 months, you're gonna start to see a slowdown, because as rates go up, basically inflation has to level out, is actually gonna start going down. That's the big deal. That's the big tamale, okay? Now, the second thing is this, guys, okay? What does this mean basically if you want to buy a house? The first thing is, I don't want you guys to go ahead and get finessed by a realtor. There are amazing realtors out there, but there are also some shady individuals out there that will say, well, they're raising the rates, things are gonna become a lot more expensive. Look, it was 2%, now it's 5%, 5.7%. In the next few months, it might be even 8% to borrow money to basically buy a home. And by the way, it's a big deal, because when you're buying a home, something that's so expensive, for example, the difference between 3% 3% and 5.7% might be like an extra $400 on your payments every single month. So whenever rates go up, it matters, it impacts you in some big way. But my big thing is, you don't want to impulse buy or feel like you have to take action right now. I'm buying something that costs over $200, for most people over $200,000, and the average person, that's going to be the most expensive thing you basically buy. So if the answer is, Tommy, the rates went up and right now I don't see myself being able to afford that home I actually wanted to buy, use common sense and use economics for your benefit, not for the realtor's benefit, to say, hey, buy right now, things are gonna be worse later. The answer is very simple, okay? What were we doing when the pandemic was going on? The entire building industry slowed down. Guess what happened when things started to pick up? We started building a bunch of houses. So what does that mean? The supply basically increased by a lot. We started building a lot of homes. Now what happens, for example, when it becomes a lot more expensive for the average individual to basically borrow money to buy a home, which means they can't qualify to actually buy it? Well, if less people are gonna buy these homes, meaning the supply is gonna stay the same or it's gonna increase because less people are buying, what happens to prices? Naturally, they gotta fall. So if the big difference is, for example, hey, you can't get away now with listing your property for over $10,000 above appraisal value, so now you're gonna actually have to take an offer that's below appraisal value. The answer is, that gives you an opportunity to buy things at a discount. So even though you might be paying a little bit more as far as interest, you might be saving a lot more money because you're buying at a lesser price. And the big deal is, while you're basically making sure you actually buy the home the right way, you're able to take some money, save up some more money so you can have more money for your down payment, and hopefully save up 20% for the down payment so you can basically avoid that PMI insurance, private mortgage insurance. It doesn't benefit you, it benefits them. So it's important that when you try to buy a home, if you can, 20% is awesome, 10% is the minimum. That's what I recommend. And remember, when you buy a home, make sure you're not paying, for example, you gotta like follow the 33% rule, no more than a third of your monthly income on this mortgage. On top of that, get it on a 15-year mortgage. And on top of that, make sure you put down at least 10%. That's the idea. This way, the home you buy, you can afford it, pay it off early, and you'll be done a lot faster. But if these rates are affecting your purchasing power, the answer is chill, cool down, save some more money, but don't buy something you can't afford and then basically have to foreclose on it, ruin your credit score, and before you know it, you have no way to kind of back out of the whole thing. Now, there's also an important aspect here, and the big important aspect is, what happens to those people that are basically trying to pay off debt or get into debt to buy something? Now, the only debt you should be getting into to actually purchase something is usually gonna be, for example, just the mortgage, right? So we already spoke about that and what to do. But overall, let's say you're trying to pay off some credit card debt. Guess what happened whenever the Fed increases rates? The credit cards, they pass that on to you, okay? So there, you might see, if you check your interest rates, you might see that they're basically variable. They're not fixed, by the way. So they might see, for example, a small increase in the amount of money you're basically paying. The higher rates go, the more expensive it basically becomes to actually pay off your debt because it kind of rises in a sense, right? As inflation goes down, if we go into deflation, it's a whole different conversation here. But overall, a big position that you can basically take right now is to try to eliminate your debt as fast as possible. That way, you don't have to worry about debt getting more expensive, especially when it comes to credit card debt and all this debt that basically you start off with $100, then it's 101, then it's 103, because it basically just keeps compounding and compounding and compounding on top of each other. So no matter how much you try to pay off, it becomes a lot more harder. So it's a lot better of an idea to focus your power to eliminate this debt so that way you don't gotta worry about it in a sense. So right now is a perfect time to pay off the debt because basically rates go up, becomes more expensive. If you're trying to borrow money to buy a car or a vehicle, the answer is you're gonna be paying a lot more. And that's why I recommend usually when you're gonna buy a car, just buy a used vehicle. Okay, pay cash for it. How do you do that? You buy a crappy car that's like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, pay cash for that. You take your car payment that would have been every single month, save it up for 12 months, and after the 12 months is over, you can basically buy a good, decent used car within 12 months, and boom, you're good to go and you have no payments. Lastly here, this is super important. If you made it all the way here, then I know, put down an emoji with the sunglasses, you know, the one I always use. Put down that one so I know, the cool emoji, that way I know you made it all the way here. But the big thing is, for people that are investing, should you pause your investments? The answer is I pause my investments, but that's because I screwed up with something. But as far as, for example, if you are a part of the long-term team and you did everything correctly, as far as you are dollar cost averaging, you have no debt, you have your fully funded emergency accounts, and those things are solid, you don't have to pause your investments because interest rates are changing. It's actually a good time because you're buying right now at a low point, meaning you're buying at a cost that's lower. So you're buying at a discount, and over time that's going to average out to actually benefit you in the future. Why would you want to buy when the market is up? You want to buy when it's down because over time it's going to go up. You get what I'm saying? So it's a perfect time to keep buying your normal investments. It's not to say, hey, put all your money in this investment, because again, you don't know exactly what's going to happen and how low the market is going to go. If we do have a recession in the next 12 months or so, the answer is we could see a massive market down drop, and if we go into depression, we can see an even greater market down drop. And then at that point, if you put all your money into it, you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, there's a problem here. Or if you put all the money into it that you needed, then you're gonna be like, okay, I gotta take my money out right now and basically realize you lost, and that's not what you want. Now overall, that is the scoop. That is what's going on right now. Not looking that great in the next 12 months. But again, one big thing is, guys, no one can predict what's going to happen, so don't worry about those things. And on top of that, as long as you are financially stable, as far as you have no debt, you have a fully funded emergency account, and you're basically investing an amount you're basically good with, and you don't have, for example, living above your means type lifestyle, the answer is you're going to be fine. Because even if you lose your job, and that's a possibility, by the way, you never know, it's always a possibility, the answer is you have at least 36 months to find yourself another job. That's the big thing. But I do see companies right now that are laying off people, like Spotify just did it, Netflix did it, Tesla did it, some companies are doing it. But those were like big companies that were really, crazy. But the idea is, if your job is solid, you probably won't lose your job, but brace yourself and have that idea that if it does happen, make sure you are ready. So if it does happen, you're prepared. Okay? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Long-term team officially out. Up here is more content. Follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson, and over here is my face. Click and subscribe. And as always, long-term team out.